You know, as motoring journalists, I have been very lucky to enjoy a job that allows us to explore the immense natural beauty that India has to provide as a country. And behind me, you can see the valley of Gulmarg nestled in the Baramulla district of J&K. Now, scenery like this needs to be preserved for our future generations, and one way to do it is to explore this region with vehicles that have zero tailpipe emissions. Now, with that, we can ensure that the clean air remains clean and the future generations can enjoy the same beauty and the natural vistas. Now, Mercedes-Benz has got us here, us journalists, to drive their all-new, all-electric SUV. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to bring you up to date with all that this car has to offer. My name is Abhik. Welcome to AutoToday's review of the brand new EQE SUV. So the EQE SUV undoubtedly looks absolutely futuristic, and I really want to call it a jelly bean shape because it reminds me of those older cars from the 90s and early 2000s. But in this shape, it is still sort of fluid and progressive and undoubtedly attractive as well. While even being functional, a shape like this is actually very aerodynamically efficient. And this face that you see here, we've come to recognize this as the Mercedes EQ face. All the Mercedes EQ vehicles, they've stuck to this sort of familiar face, and it brings about a sense of familiarity for people who are going to adopt electric vehicles, and especially Mercedes all-electric vehicles. Also, Mercedes EQ vehicles come loaded with technology, and it starts on the exterior, especially with these headlamps right here. Now, together, combined, they use over 2 million pixels to create their beam, while also keeping in mind oncoming traffic, because they are adaptive, so they won't blind oncoming traffic. These are, by the way, digital LED headlamps. Now, there are digital LED DRLs as well, and they connect, in fact, they span the entire width of the car, and they're also mirrored at the back with a similar treatment. But the rear lamps, the tail lamps, use a 3D helix sort of design, which is artistic as much as they are functional as well. So the soft lines of the EQE still somehow manage to accentuate that strong muscular appearance of an SUV, because everybody kind of expects that from an SUV design and a look. And then there are these 20-inch wheels, which again add a lot to the well-balanced proportion of the EQE, and they are also aerodynamically optimized. They are shod with really wide 255 section tires because they need that kind of width for the kind of performance it packs. Now, there's no shortage of drama when it comes to the Mercedes EQE. For example, that running board that you see here, it is illuminated, and if I approach the car and extend my hand towards this flush-fitting door handle, it'll just simply extend out, welcoming me towards the interior of the car. And in the next segment, I'm going to tell you all about the interior features of the new Mercedes EQE SUV. This is a very contemporary layout that won't leave any doubts in your mind about the EQE being a modern all-electric Mercedes. The high-quality materials and finishes are a treat for tactility, and along with the customizable multicolor ambient lighting, the overall ambience of the cabin makes it an uber comfortable and luxurious space to be in. The devil is in the details, and Mercedes has paid specific attention to them to enhance the in-cabin experience. This center console is made up of open-pore magnolia wood studded with aluminium Mercedes star inlays and looks rich while adding a warm, comfortable feel to the ambience of the cabin. Comfort is also offered in the form of the ventilated and massaging seats that are well bolstered to keep you in utmost comfort on longer trips. And then there is the climate control system with a HEPA filter to keep pollutants outside the cabin and purifying the cabin air quality up to 99.6%. And the EQE also features a fragrance diffuser system. The pièce de résistance of the EQE SUV's interior has to be the 56-inch hyperscreen that conceals 3 screens under a one-piece glass.
one for the instrumentation at 12.3 inches, a 17.7-inch infotainment screen, and a 12.3-inch passenger screen, presumably for convenience as it mirrors most of the infotainment screen's functions, as well as provides for entertainment on the move. The panoramic sunroof makes the cabin feel even roomier than it is, and the space at the rear is generous, with ample legroom and headroom for even taller passengers. The rear passengers also get dedicated climate control zones, and as far as storage is concerned, the EQE boasts of 520 litres of boot space that's expandable to 1,675 litres with the rear seats folded down.
Right, so some headline figures for the EQE SUV. It has a 90.56 kilowatt hour battery, and that's good enough for a claimed 550 kilometers of range, which is honestly pretty impressive given the size of the SUV. There are two motors, one placed at the front axle, the other one at the rear axle, and both of them combined produce 402 horsepower and 853 newton meters of torque. Now, if those figures don't make much sense to you, let me tell you that this SUV can actually do a 0 to 100 kilometers per hour run in just 4.9 seconds, and that's plenty fast. Now, that kind of performance is almost expected from any battery electric vehicle. The power and torque is just transferred instantly. So obviously the throttle response is very, very, well, quick. One dive of the throttle and this car is not going to fail to put a grin on your face, and it'll do it all day long until the charge runs out. But for a car this powerful, to put down all that power onto the road, you've got to have a good handling package. And the EQE, well, since we're going over rough roads, let me tell you the suspension package is pretty impressive. It's got airmatic suspension, which means, well, in simpler terms, just air suspension, and they keep adapting to the road conditions. It also depends on the drive mode that you've selected. I'm sitting with the comfort mode active right now, and it's really soaking up these bad roads very, very well. That's the right quality. In fact, in comfort, it is absolutely plush. If I really had to complain, then maybe over bad roads the rebound is a little quick, so it kind of sounds like it's crashing over bigger potholes, but that's about it really. I don't quite blame the car for it. Most battery electric vehicles with the battery mounted really low down in the chassis, this sort of suspension behavior is kind of expected. But on the flip side, the battery being mounted that low also lowers the center of gravity, which means your handling is going to be absolutely fabulous. And again, for the EQE, it's a largish SUV. It is impressive. Around corners, the car can really hold its line. It is very neutral, so there's not much understeer or oversteer. It really holds its line given whatever trajectory you've pointed it towards. Now, what adds to the driving feel is also its sort of sound enhancement package. In sport, it does produce a sportier note, almost replicating that of an ICE, and an exhaust note of a bigger engine, maybe a V6 or a V8. It does sound good actually, kind of breaks that usual sort of monotonous silence of an electric vehicle, makes the driving experience a lot more exciting and involving.
The Mercedes-Benz EQE SUV starts at Rs 1.39 crore ex-showroom, and that places it nearly level with the competition, with the Mercedes also leveling on the performance front. It has the size, the aesthetics, and the technology to woo prospective customers into the Mercedes EQ brand.